Hi, this is Alex Juarez, Communications Director with AARP Arizona. Thank you for joining us today and participating in this teletown hall to talk about the AARP Fraud Watch Network. Millions of Americans fall victim to fraudulent schemes every year, resulting in tens of billions of dollars landing in the pockets of con artists and other unsavory criminals. The Fraud Watch Network is designed to give Arizona residents access to proven tools and resources to help protect them, their families, and friends from identity theft and fraud. It's free and open to everyone of any age. To sign up, you can call 877-908-3360. That number again is 877-908-3360, or visit www.aarp.org/Fraud Watch Network. At aarp.org Fraud Watch Network, you'll also find information on the latest scams and have a chance to share your stories on our scam tracking map. Sadly, identity theft and other forms of fraud pose a serious threat in Arizona. Fraud and scams cost billions of dollars in losses every year, and AARP is mounting this local campaign to fight fraud by giving you valuable information to fight back and keep con artists at bay. Without further ado, let me introduce you our guests for today's call and our experts. First of all, we are joined today here by Linda Vitale. Linda is on a mission to empower and educate the public about scams, fraud, and identity theft. She writes a weekly newspaper column about identity theft and contributes articles to the AARP website and other magazines. She has also written a book on ID theft titled Scammy Once, Can't Get Scammed Again. And this is available on Amazon.com, by the way. As an identity theft advocate, Linda has spoken publicly and given educational presentations since 2014. She is also a volunteer lead educator with the Fraud Watch Network in Arizona. Additionally, she has 21-year background experience working as a tax professional. Welcome, Linda, and thank you. Can you please give us some opening remarks, Linda?
Well, we're here today to educate you because AARP feels that the best way to fight against scams and fraud is through awareness and knowledge. And so that's what we're here for today, and hopefully you'll learn a lot, and that way that'll decrease your chances of ever becoming a victim of scams and fraud.
Thank you, Linda. Also with us today is David Parra, Associate Director of Community Outreach with AARP Arizona since 2011. David has been running a community education program on issues such as retirement, preparation, Social Security, Medicare, healthcare, finances, and of course, the Fraud Watch Network. Thank you, David.
Thank you, Alex. It is my pleasure to be here to address such an important matter.
Thank you, David. Appreciate that. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to David and Linda. They are the experts on fraud. So please go ahead, David.
Thank you, Alex. While we get questions, and we are waiting for your questions, press *3 if you would like to ask a question. We would like to address a few basic matters related to this important issue, Linda. And thank you so very much for joining us. We consider you an issue expert. You've done so many presentations. Help us understand, Linda, what is the objective of scamming? What is the objective, and what are the pieces of information that they are after and that we should guard?
Well, the objective of any fraudster or con artist is to manipulate you into giving up your personal information, or perhaps get you to buy something so then they have your credit card information and, of course, again, your personal information. So the key things that you really need to protect and really guard against and not give out so easily is your Social Security number, your medical ID number, your credit card number, your driver's license, anything that is really personal information that a scammer will use against you to impersonate you or steal from you. The main one that they want is that Social Security
That's
number.
Social Security.
But the date of birth does help.
Yes. I know this is very basic. Can you explain what con artists are and then also the concept of boiler rooms. What are those?
Well, con artists are basically criminals. Their objective is to steal from you, and they will do that in any way they can. A lot of scamming is done in boiler rooms, and what boiler rooms are is just giant rooms where a bunch of scammers all congregate. They share the same script, and they dial all day long, calling you, trying to convince you to give them personal information or buy something.
I understand that when they call, they basically create a profile of the people they call, and then they just basically pass that profile to the next caller, and then that's how they get you, correct?
Yes, yeah.
Linda, let's kind of review the different ways by which fraud and scams happen. Let's start with the basic, print mail. What type of scams happen with print mail?
With print mail, it's usually credit card offers, notices that you've won the lottery, those kinds of things where they try to steal your personal information that way.
Now, can you elaborate a little bit more about the pre-approved credit cards? I think this is a very important point.
Yes. Well, AARP stresses very highly that you need to shred your information as much as possible. And one of the things is if you get a credit card application in the mail that you don't want to fill out because you're not interested in applying, you need to shred that application. If you throw it in the trash without shredding it, someone, a criminal, can go through your trash and steal that information and apply for credit in your good name.
You know, I think it's a good practice as well to not just leave personal or items, print mail with personal sensitive information just laying on the sofa, the table, because it only takes a couple of seconds for someone to go in and just take a picture.
Yeah.
So we also need to be very careful with that, correct?
Correct.
We have a question, David.
Oh, great.
We can take a question right now. We're going to go on the phone to the phones with Eleanor in Phoenix.
What about these people that always, like the cancer, like the CA, the disability people, they said, you have a number, they send us in some money, and your number will be, your name has been picked, and we will send you a check for. Now, if they're begging for money to help the ill people, why are they giving away $10,000 and $20,000? Is that a fraud type thing, or do they? Is it okay? I get letters. I bet I get 12 things a week asking for donations, and your number was picked, and whatever. And I think they share your name to everybody else. So I just look at it and throw it away. You know?
Yeah. Linda?
Well, it sounds like it's probably fake charities and fake organizations impersonating the real deal, and they're just basically looking for you to either send them money or give them information. You should always be skeptical of things that come in the mail, soliciting money from you or promising riches to you. Those are just scams that happen every single day, and as you said, you get a lot of them in the mail. You're probably on some kind of a list where you seem to get a lot of them, so I suggest you probably should sign up for not receiving any more junk mail. And there is a organization, dmachoice.org, that you can sign up for so that you will receive less junk mail.
So that's DMH
dmachoice.
choice.org. Okay. Very good.
I believe there is something very, very important, Linda, regarding scams through the phone. And that there's that famous word spoofing, right? What is spoofing, and what is these scams that are taking place over the phone?
Okay, well, what spoofing basically is you're being fooled. That's kind of what the word spoof means. You've been fooled. And when it comes to people, telemarketers or fraudsters calling you on the phone, a lot of times they get you to even answer the phone because when the phone rings, the first thing you do is you look at your caller ID and see who's calling.
Right.
And if it's someone that looks familiar, or if it's the IRS or Social Security or your bank or your credit card company, it'll look like that on your caller ID, but it really isn't. Instead, it's one of those fraudsters calling you from a boiler room that we
Right.
just talked about. So they are impersonating a company or an organization, but they're really not. It's technology that is used to manipulate what you see on your caller ID. So if you look at, if the phone rings and you hear, I'm sorry, you see on your caller ID Internal Revenue Service, you're going to be more apt to pick up the phone because you're a little nervous about why the IRS is calling you. So before you even say hello, you've already been conned because you have now believed that the person who's calling you is from the IRS. That is what spoofing is. So never believe what you see on your caller ID.
Okay.
Say that again, Linda, that was good.
Never believe what you see on your caller ID.
And let's face it, Linda, if you did not start the call,
Mm-hmm.
for the most part, that should already be at least a yellow flag.
That's
Absolutely, that should be a flag.
If you don't have an interest, you didn't pick up the phone, you didn't dial, the call came to you,
Right.
there's already at least a yellow, if not a red flag, correct?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. A question from Judith in Phoenix.
My question was, a lot of times, recently, I've been getting these things from companies or people or whatever it might be that I don't know, and I don't want them to keep coming, but I'm concerned about just hitting the unsubscribe part because I think that something bad might happen if I do, and so I'm not sure how to get rid of them and get them permanently out of my computer.
Well, you should certainly have virus protection on your computer. You obviously have gotten on some lists, and so you're going to probably continue to get things. The only thing I can tell you is that you just need to screen your emails. You should not believe a lot of the emails that come, especially if they contain urgent messages with links on them, because that is how your computer gets infected. So make sure you have good virus protection. Make sure you do your research. If someone contacts you and you're not sure, the best thing to do is call the company or go directly online to their particular website to find out if it's legitimate or not.
Well, I know that these places are not, or there's things that I don't want. You know, it's like I can get cannabis pills and this kind of stuff. You know, that a lot of those are coming now, and so my concern is, do I just unsubscribe, or do I send them over into a automatic junk file, or what would you suggest?
Yeah, you should do both, actually. Definitely put them into your junk folder. You could, there are programs out there that actually can block some of your spam. You might call your internet service provider and ask them about that. It's kind of hard, and you just have to know the difference between what's real and what isn't, and when in doubt, do your research.
Before we get to the next question, Linda, let's move to internet. There's just a ton of scams, fraud happening over the internet, particularly this matter of Wi-Fi. What's going on in this arena of Wi-Fi?
Well, Wi-Fi is a way to use the internet when you're not home, using your home network. And a lot of people don't understand that Wi-Fi, when you're using public Wi-Fi, it is not private. So people are tending to go to the library, or when they're traveling at a hotel or a coffee shop, to use the public Wi-Fi, not realizing that everything that they do on that computer while they're using public Wi-Fi is not private, and they're putting their identity, their passwords, their PINs, their account numbers at risk.
If it's secure, is the risk the same as if in those networks that are unsecure?
Yeah, but you have to make sure that you're logging on to the establishment's secure website.
So most likely
Wi-Fi.
they'll have a password.
Yes,
Yeah.
they will be able to tell you what the password is, because there are places where someone will have a similar name to, like, say, the hotel or something,
Right.
and you see it on a list of ones to click on, and you might click on the wrong one, and it might be an identity theft.
And Linda, we typically don't want to use our data, right? So we're always looking for Wi-Fi.
Right.
And obviously, if people do use the public Wi-Fi's, are there any recommendations as to what not to do in
Yes,
public Wi-Fi?
Absolutely. Well, because it's not private, okay, just realize that Wi-Fi can go through walls. So you may not even see the fraudster who's trying to steal your information, because it might be in the wall across the way from you. So make sure that you're not doing online banking, online purchasing, you're not logging into your bank account and putting in your password to get in to see your account and moving money and things like that. Anything benign, like maybe checking your email, is okay, or looking up something on Google, but never do anything private or personal where your personal information is going to be exposed.
Now we're going to go to the phones again. We have a question from Diana in Phoenix, and I believe it's a Medicare type of question about possible scam.
I was contacted by telephone by somebody that said I was entitled to an annual complete physical exam that was paid 100% by Medicare. I scheduled the appointment. It was pretty flimsy, but unfortunately I left the urine sample and it went to 3 different labs. And I have Cigna Advantage, which is of course attached to Medicare. They're denying it. I'm already up to $7,800 in bills here.
Oh my.
Diana, are you on Medicare? Do you have a Medicare card?
Correct.
Okay. Well, somehow or another, your Social Security number, which is also your Medicare number, has been compromised. And so someone used your Social Security number, which is your Medicare insurance identification number, to get medical services, or they contacted you in the hopes of convincing you to go use their services so that they can get your Medicare number in order to give you the services that you went for. Medical ID theft is a serious issue, and you should absolutely contact your insurance company and let them know what happened. Read your explanation of benefits. You have to beware of anyone unsolicited calling you like that, because how did they get your number? How did they know you? So obviously beware of anyone calling you unsolicited like that, offering either free or cheap services. That's a red flag.
I certainly understand that now. It was when they said it was through Medicare that caught me.
Yeah.
I'm usually not quite this gullible.
Don't feel gullible. These people are very sophisticated. They know exactly how to manipulate you. Don't feel gullible at all. It happens to most of us, millions of people a year. So just
it's putting Medicare in jeopardy.
It is.
Yeah,
it is.
It hurts so much.
The question is from Richard in Gilbert.
It's Richard's wife.
Oh, very good. Welcome.
Okay. My question is this. I use my internet provider's webmail, and when I put it in on my mobile phone, it is, instead of showing the password, it's yellow, and then just some like star. Can scammers tell what that password is?
No, that's considered a hashed password. So it's only visible then to the website that you're on, so that you can log on safely without anyone else seeing it. So that's safe.
Okay, so that's okay to do that in a public Wi-Fi place?
Yes and no. As long as you're making sure that you are correctly on the network of the establishment whose Wi-Fi you are using.
Okay, you cleared it up. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your call. We have Carol that's been waiting quite a while. Carol, go ahead with your question, please.
What I want to know if this is safe or not. I take the magazine things that I get through the mail, tear off the back, take off the inside where it has your name, address, blah, blah, blah. I also do that on any credit cards or anything. I put this in the garbage. It's not, doesn't say who it's from or what it is or anything. The rest of it I put in the recycle. Is that safe?
Yeah, as long as there's no reference to what it is, it probably just has your name and address on it.
Right, and I put that in the garbage.
That would be okay, but I would say that it might be good if you can invest in a shredder. We recommend that you shred your documents as often as possible, But if not, you can take a pair of scissors and cut it up a little bit. But it sounds like you're doing your due diligence by separating the source of the of the mail that you got. So I think you're okay.
Judith has been also waiting quite a while here. So Judith, please go ahead and state your question.
I'm not gullible. I'm angry because for years I've been getting phone calls from the IRS. Now they've switched it to that the IRS is working with the FBI, who are working with the local police, who will be coming to my door any moment. All right, I block those numbers, that call, but they use they get another number. It's from all over the country, and I'm just wondering if the FBI or whoever is looking into this has come anywhere close to catching these people.
You know the game Whack-A-Mole? When they catch them, they pop up somewhere else. This goes on all over the world.
Yeah.
The IRS, Judith, is one of the most successful and popular scams out there because it works. People are very afraid of the IRS. Yeah. So just know one thing. The IRS will never call you. As long as you know that, no matter what they say after that, you can just hang up the phone or delete the email or however that you were contacted.
I blocked the number.
Okay, and they will call you at a different number. That's what they do in those rooms that we talked about in the beginning. And they will spoof numbers, and sometimes I've heard people say that the call came from their own phone number. So just remember that the IRS or any legitimate company or organization will never call you, and certainly not use fear and intimidation to threaten you to get you to send money.
Have they gotten any closer to catching these people?
Well, as I said, as they catch them, they just turn up somewhere else. That's just because they don't want to not continue.
But that is illegal, right? And if they get caught, they could be arrested.
Yes, and they have been, and they've gone to jail. But
great.
And something that's pretty hard as well, Linda, is I understand that many of these scams come from maybe Africa or somewhere in the Middle East or something, and it's very hard to prosecute.
Yes, India is a big one. They made big arrests over there in boiler rooms in India, and the United States jurisdiction can't be there to shut these people down. That's the problem.
We are going to go to Margie in Phoenix. Margie, you are live.
I just wanted to know how we come about getting the fraud report that you mentioned. We could ask for it. Do we need to go online to the Aarp website?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can do it two ways. You can either call the number that I gave, which is 877-908-3360. Again, the number 877-908-3360. Or you can go to the website www.aarp.org/Fraud Watch Network. Altogether, Fraud Watch Network. So www.aarp.org/Fraud Watch Network.
Before we go to the next question, Alex, I would like to ask Linda something so important, and that is about medical ID theft. I think this is happening more. And would you help us understand, Linda, this item of medical ID theft? What is it, how it happens, and what are the repercussions of it?
Well, medical ID theft is when a fraudster will use your medical ID number to get medical services, to see a doctor, to get prescription medications, things like that, any kind of medical care that they're not paying for, and you get stuck with the copay. You might be turned down for insurance. You might reach your insurance limit. And also, the worst part about medical ID, I always say that medical ID theft has deadly consequences. because the person who used your medical information to get medical services has now contaminated your medical records. And if they had a disease you didn't have, or a different blood type than you, or they take some kind of drug that you don't take, that can affect your medical treatment in the future. So you need to guard your medical ID. It's just as important to guard that number as it is your Social Security number. And while we're on the topic, I want to say that Medicare is now going to issue new Medicare cards to all Medicare recipients. It started in April, and it's going to take 1 year. So some of you may have gotten one already. They're going to do it, I think, state by state. But just know that the fraudsters are very aware of this, and they're already out there trying to call you, contact you through email, impersonating the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid. Just know that Medicare does not call you. So if you get a call or an email from someone claiming to be from the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid, trying to convince you that you need to verify your Medicare number, or that you need to send $5 to get your card or a temporary card, those are all fraudsters, and what they're doing is they're phishing for your medical information. So don't fall for that scam. There's nothing you need to do. Your card will just appear in the mail one day when it's your turn to receive it.
And one last thing before we go to the next question, Linda, with medical ID theft, what is something that the Medicare beneficiary or the insurance card holder can do to kind of keep checking to see if that has happened?
One of the best ways to know is to always read your explanation of benefits. That's where you're going to see if there's any medical services that were obtained that you didn't, a doctor that you didn't see, or lab work you didn't go for, or a prescription that you didn't fill. You need to contact Medicare and your insurance company, if you have supplemental insurance, right away and dispute that and get that cleaned off your record.
Very valuable tips.
Yes.
Excellent tips. Thank you.
Are we ready for another question?
Yes, we've got several people that are waiting online, so we're going to go to Robin. Robin, please, you are live, so go ahead with your question, Robin.
Thank you. I appreciate this program. I've already learned 3 things, and sometimes I think I know everything. I'm kidding. But my question is, are there race, gender, and age factors that some people tend or are showing to be more vulnerable? I know the elderly are vulnerable because a lot of them were taught the golden rule, but they have assets even if they're meager. But I do think a lot of my friends are pretty darn sharp. But I wonder about young people. They're vulnerable.
Mostly the retiree population is picked on, I would say, in terms of percentages, the most. But yes, young people, and don't really, think that they are going to be victims, are also falling for a lot of scams and fraud. I think with the younger generation, a lot of their problems are less scams and fraud. For them, it's more credit cards and online cyber theft for them, as far as their identities getting stolen from data breaches and things like that. But the senior population, the retiree population, mostly gets picked on when it comes to scams and fraud.
Linda in Phoenix, you are live. Please state your question.
Yeah, hi, Linda. You gave us a website to look up, dmachoice.org, and I started doing that. Is that safe to put all my information in there?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So that's all safe to do, and that'll.
The website. Whenever you're putting personal information on a website like that, the website address, every website address starts with HTTP.
Right.
Look at the address bar, and whenever you're on a website where you're going to be putting in personal information, like this one here, it should have an S after the HTTP. So the website address should be HTTPS, the S being for secure. Your information
Interesting.
is scrambled and encrypted.
Interesting. And I want to share something with you. I had 4 phone calls yesterday, and there was, I know it was a scam, and it was all about my computer. I was having a problem, and they wanted to help me. So they called twice. I hung up. They called the third time, and I said, well, let me get my tech on the phone with us, please, so he can know what's going on. And they hung up on me.
Of course.
You did the right thing,
And
Linda. That is the tech support scam. It's another classic scam.
Yeah, and then they called me back from a different number, like you already said.
Oh,
and
yeah,
I told him the same thing. I've got my tech on the other line, and boy, they just hung up, and that was it.
They were hacked.
And then what do you think about these grandmother scams, where they get to call and asking for money?
Yes. Again, the best thing to do with a grandparent scam, if somebody calls you and impersonates your grandchild, make sure that in order to know that if it's really your grandchild, if you aren't able to contact them some other way while you're on the phone, best thing to do is ask them a question that only they would know the answer to, a personal question. Like, what did I make you for dinner the last time you were here?
Very good.
That only they would know the answer to.
Yes.
And don't get how can I get somebody else to hear this program?
It is being recorded live on our Facebook page, Linda. So it's AARP Arizona Facebook page. It's being recorded live, so it'll be there. So if they go to our Facebook page, they can watch it at any time.
Oh, perfect, because it's wonderful. Thank you, guys. Have a great day.
Thank you for your question, Linda. Let's go to one more question here. Norm. Norm has a question. And Norm, you are live.
Hi, how are you doing? Yeah, I'm here.
Go ahead.
Okay, my question is about the telephone scam business and all this crap that goes on. What I'm really sick and tired of is getting 8 million charity calls and other calls, mostly from fake charities. I do the do not call list thing, but that doesn't do any good anymore. There are certain organizations that can get through anyway. It seems like there are probably more fake cancer and veteran charities than are real ones. How do you separate the good from the bad when you get that kind of stuff?
Well, Norm, you really can't separate the good from the bad, and that's the problem. Now, just so you know, charities are able to call you. Even if you're on the do not call list, just because that's the way they are able to solicit donations. So there are certain organizations that can still call you. And you have to be careful because, as you said, a lot of the charities are fake charities, especially now that we're coming into the summer and there will be hurricanes and there's earthquakes and all kinds of calamities and forest fires and stuff. And there will be charities calling asking for donations. The best thing you could do is not give to a charity over the phone or on the Internet unless you go directly to the source of the charity. And there are a couple of websites where you can check out a charity to see if it's legitimate. CharityWatch.org and Charity Navigator. And you can put in the name of the charity and check to see if they're legitimate. And you can also do research by finding out how much of what they collect actually goes to the people that they are supposed to be helping. But you just can't really know for sure when they contact you, so the best thing to do is not do it that way and go directly to the source if you want to give money.
If I may, just real quick to ask something that I think is very important. A credit card versus debit card. I know that there's a lot of people who have this question, Linda. What is the recommendation? What is the difference between the two?
Well, the difference between the two is that a credit card, the use of a credit card, you have what we call recourse, which means if there's a fraudulent charge on the card, you call up your company and you get it reversed and you get a new card and everything's fine. With a debit card, when you use your debit card, that transaction, the money that comes from that purchase, comes out of your checking account. So the danger there is that when you use your debit card, you're risking the funds that are in your checking account. So you have to be very careful where you use your debit card. And gas stations, online and at restaurants where they take your card away and you can't see what's going on with it are dangerous places to use your debit card. So you've got to be careful. There's a lot of skimming going on at gas stations where when you put your card in the slot, there's a device in there that reads your information, and then the fraudster goes out and makes a dummy card and starts spending it, and the money now is coming from your checking account, and your money will be drained in no time at all. So you don't have the same recourse as you would with a credit card. So just be careful where you use your debit card. And as I said, the 3 places that are really important not to use your debit card is a gas station, online purchases, and at a restaurant or anywhere where your card is taken away from visually being able to see what's going on with it.
Linda, we're talking about skimmers in gas stations. That is very common now here in Arizona. How can we prevent that? Is there something that we can check on the machine if it's loose?
Right. If it's loose, if it's got tape over it. A lot of the gas stations now are putting tape over that says, if this seal is broken, report it. They can get into those machines very, very easily. The key is just a regular key that can be, made by anybody that knows how to do that, and so they can put those devices in there. So just be aware, be diligent. If you're not sure, then use cash or go inside the store or use your credit card instead of your debit card.
Okay, great information. We have Wendy in Phoenix. Wendy, please state your question.
Yes, I've been hit a few times already with the ID theft. I get calls from debt collectors for payment to hospitals that I haven't been to. And what I want to know is, how do they do this? And some of your questions you already kind of explained. But then again, there's still...
Well, your information is out there. There's been a lot of data breaches. So, the one big data breach last year, the Equifax data breach, basically exposed the information of almost half the adult population in the United States. So you have to operate as if all your information is already out there exposed to any fraudster who wants to buy it on the dark web or obtain it in other ways, and then use that information to call you, try to scam you in any various different ways. Now, it seems like you're getting a lot of phone calls, and that is one of the tactics a scammer will use, is to intimidate you and instill fear in you. So don't be surprised that they have your information and they have your phone number, but what you need to do is be aware of the fact that they're calling you out of the blue. They don't really know you. They just have your information. And they're trying to convince you that they are legitimate, and they are trying to get you to either give them your personal information or buy something. So anytime a company calls you and tries to instill fear and intimidate you, and with dire consequences, that's a red flag to know that you need to disengage with this person and hang up the phone and try to block that number if you can, and monitor your phone calls. If you're getting a lot of these phone calls, get yourself an answering machine if you don't have one, and monitor your calls, because if someone calls you that's an important phone call that's legitimate, they are going to leave you a voicemail.
Thank you for your question, Wendy. And let's go to the next question. Serena in Peoria. It's either Serena or Marjorie. Please go ahead with your question.
I'm Marjorie.
Hi, Marjorie. Please go ahead with your question.
I received a letter from the IRS saying that I need to contact them right away. If I didn't, I would be turned over to legal people. I don't even file income tax, so I can't.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, the IRS usually doesn't send you a letter unless you really do owe back taxes. So that's a red flag for you already to know that you don't even file taxes. That means your Social Security number was exposed, and what that means is you need to be extra diligent You're going to get other calls and offers because if your number is out there, there will be other schemes out there trying to contact you. So just know that the IRS won't contact you, email, over the phone, and if they do it in a letter, it is because you legitimately owe money and back taxes, and they will not ever intimidate you and threaten you the way this letter did. They will give you an opportunity to dispute what they say you owe and give you a chance to respond. So because that wasn't available in that letter, that right there is proof that it was a fraudulent letter.
You know, Linda, it's very amazing that typically we've told people that the IRS doesn't call. They communicate via mail. So now these con artists are communicating by mail.
Yes.
It's amazing. They never stop. So again, it depends on what the letter says, like you pointed out. So we have to be very careful. Now we know that these con artists are also using mail, which we said that the only IRS would communicate via mail. It's so amazing.
If you owe back taxes, then the best thing to do, or you think it might be legitimate, is call the IRS at 800-829-1040, and you might be on hold for a while, but that's how you can find out legitimately if the letter that you received is a legitimate letter or not.
I'm going to just state some of the questions that have come in here and see if we can answer them really fast.
Okay.
Becky and Glenn, they basically just asked if, does she need to shred everything that has her name on it?
I would shred. My motto is, when in doubt, shred it.
Okay.
Put your shredder to good use.
Very good. Richard and Gilbert, Wi-Fi password. Is it okay to use public Wi-Fi?
As long as you are using the Wi-Fi, make sure that you're using the correct password of the establishment whose Wi-Fi you are using.
Great. Carol in Tucson had a question in reference to the Medicare cards that we're going to be receiving soon. She's asking if the Social Security number will no longer be on it.
Yes, the Social Security number will no longer be on it. That's why they're issuing new ones. It'll be just a random 13-digit number.
Excellent. Very good. And we are going to go to a quick call here. I think this one is important because it talks about barcodes on the envelope. So Alan in Scottsdale has a question about these barcodes. Go ahead, Alan.
Yeah, I'm right here, yeah. The barcode on the envelopes, is that associated with your name or the sender's name? And the other part of that question is, on the back of those envelopes is usually a tear-off strip that has a barcode. Again, is that associated with your name and address or the sender's name and address?
You know, this I would again, when in doubt, shred, right? I would consider a barcoded page as sensitive. So I personally shred it, and we recommend that.
Okay, because right now my name and address is on the inside of the envelope on a piece of paper beyond that window. So I got to cut that piece off and also shred the envelope itself.
Yeah, I would, again, when in doubt, shred. It's better to play it safe.
Well, we shred everything, but thank you very much.
Thank you for your question, Alan. We'll go to one more question on the phone, and then we will wrap up things with Linda and David. We're going to go to Diane. Diane in Gilbert. Diane, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Please state your question.
Well, actually, it was more of an observation. I, too, have been a victim of, probably over a period of months, probably a dozen of those IRS calls. Police say they won't do a thing. They say go to the Internet and report it to the FTC.com or whatever that is. The point I was going to make is about getting your purse stolen when you leave it in the child's seat at the grocery store. My girlfriend had this happen to her. Inside her purse was a corporate American Express. Imagine the embarrassment, having to call your corporation and tell them their card's been violated because they went out buying electronics at Target immediately. They filled up their gas tank. They were eating out, and then the rest of her purse and its remains, with no wallet, of course, were left in the garbage can near the Fry's store where they picked it up out of her. And it was a Friday night, so on her way back from work. So it can happen so quickly. I tell people every week there's somebody I say, hey, don't leave your purse like that with your back turned.
That's good.
Good advice,
Yeah,
Diane.
very good. And thank you so much, Diane, for your statement there. We unfortunately are almost out of time here. On behalf of AARP Arizona, I want to say thank you to everyone for taking part in today's telephone town hall on identity theft and fraud. We've been talking with our special guests, Linda Vitale and David Parra. Thank you so much for joining. Do you have just one last tip that you want to say?
I would say that make sure you're checking your credit report as often as possible at annualcreditreport.com, and don't believe what you see on your caller ID. And lastly, if it sounds too good to be true, it's too good to be true.
That's right.
I would just say, Alex, that I am so glad that AARP started this campaign and the website, aarp.org/FraudWatch Network, because if people go to that website, they will continue to get the new scams, because this is not going to stop. They're just going to keep coming. So we strongly recommend folks to sign up to receive the alerts at aarp.org/FraudWatch Network.
Thank you, David and Linda. And we apologize to everybody that we couldn't answer their questions. We had so many questions coming in here. But whether it's over the phone, through the mail, online, or at your front door, scam artists are out there, and they're looking for new ways to get you and your loved ones to open up your wallet. Joining the AARP Fraud Watch Network is a great way to learn about the most effective ways to protect you and your loved ones from identity theft and fraud. If you haven't had a chance to sign up yet, you can call our Fraud Watch Network helpline toll-free at 877-908-3360 and add your address to the Fraud Watch mailing. That's 877-908-3360. You can also sign up online by visiting www.aarp.org/FraudWatch Network. Thank you all for participating in the discussion on this important topic. We apologize if we were not able to answer your question, and if you stay on the line, you will be able to leave us a voicemail with your question or comment. You can also obtain valuable information through AARP publications on our website at www.aarp.org/FraudWatch Network, or by calling the Fraud Watch Network helpline at 877-908-3360. Again, thank you so much for participating. Have a fantastic day.